Picture this. It's 1969. You're working your shift at a bustling San Francisco newspaper. The Daily Mail arrives, and right there, mixed in with the usual pitches and tips, is an envelope that changes everything. Inside isn't a story. It's a letter from a serial killer, and it's written in this bizarre grid of symbols you literally can't read, ending with a completely chilling thread. Publish this cipher on the front page, or more innocent people are going to die. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the dark history of one of the most terrifying, enduring true crime mysteries of all time. We've got a lot of ground to cover to really put you inside this investigation, so buckle up.
I mean, just listen to these words. I like killing people because it is so much fun. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife. That is the actual verified translation of his very first coded letter, which cryptographers call the Z408 cipher. That one word right at the end, afterlife, it instantly shifts the narrative. It shows us we aren't just dealing with a random murderer, we're dealing with someone operating under a deeply twisted, almost mythological delusion.
Which brings us to the absolute center of this whole dark puzzle. Who was the Zodiac Killer, and what did his codes really say? Our goal today is to cut through the noise. We're going to separate the solved, verified mysteries from the lingering mathematical enigmas that are still completely stumping the FBI and even modern artificial intelligence to this very day. All right, let's get right into it. Section 1. A killer's performance art. To truly understand the mind that created these intricate codes, we gotta have to look at the grim reality of what he actually did. This wasn't just a puzzle to him. It was a brutal public performance. The terror officially kicked off in December 1968 when two teenagers on their first date were tragically shot and killed on Lake Herman Road. 6 months later, in July 1969, an attack at Blue Rock Springs Park leaves one person dead and, for the first time, one survivor. Then, September 1969, a horrific daytime attack at Lake Berryessa by a man dressed in a bizarre, homemade executioner's costume with a cross and circle symbol on his chest, and finally, October 1969, the point-blank murder of cab driver Paul Stein in Presidio Heights. That's 5 confirmed dead, 2 survivors. An absolute reign of terror that completely paralyzed Northern California. Now, here is a number I want you to just burn into your brain for a second. 51. That is the staggering number of years it took for the absolute best cryptographers in the world to finally crack his second, most infamous cipher. Just think about that. Over half a century of dead ends. Moving on to Section 2, the 4 coded letters.
So the Zodiac eventually transitioned from physical crimes to this really sick kind of intellectual manipulation. He used ciphers as his stage. He didn't just want to kill, he wanted an audience. He wanted to openly mock the police and manipulate the media. Over time, he mailed 4 distinct coded messages. Think of them as 4 locked boxes to Bay Area newspapers. We have the Z408, which was actually solved almost immediately back in 1969. Then the notorious Z340, which took until 2020 to crack. And then we have the Z13 and the Z32. These last 2, they are still completely unsolved, haunting cold case investigators today. It's wild to look at the massive escalation in his methods between his first and second code. The Z408 was what's called a homophonic substitution cipher. Basically, he used multiple different symbols to represent a single common letter to throw off basic code breakers. Clever, sure, but it was solved in just 8 days, and literally by a high school teacher and his wife. The wife just had the terrifying realization that the word kill would probably be in there, guessed it, and the whole thing completely unraveled. But the Z340? He added a transposition layer. He actually scrambled the physical locations of the letters on the page on top of encoding them. It was a huge jump in complexity that baffled the FBI and the NSA for decades.
Which leads us to Section 3, cracking the Z340 cipher.
The 2020 breakthrough is hands down an absolutely incredible story. It wasn't solved by some lone genius in a dark basement. It was a massive international collaboration. Let's break down how this happened, step by step, because it's fascinating. Step 1. An Australian mathematician named Sam Blake realized the code couldn't just be read straight across left to right. It had to be read diagonally, jumping around the grid. He generated over 65,000 different geometric reading patterns. Step 2. A Belgian cipher expert named Jarl van Eyck fed those exact patterns into AZDecrypt, which is a specialized software he created specifically to score potential solutions. And finally, Step 3. American software developer David Orenchak manually validated the linguistic output. This was human ingenuity perfectly paired with raw machine speed.
And after 51 years, what do they actually find? The decryption revealed this deeply unsettling taunt. I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner. Noticed how he misspells the word paradise with a C? He actually did that exact same thing in his very first code, too. And there's that twisted fixation rearing its head again, collecting souls or slaves for his supposed new life. No real name, no confession, just another sick taunt.
Let's shift gears a bit. Section 4. AI, Puzzles, and Mysteries.
Okay, we really need to clear up a massive misconception in the true crime community right now. You will often hear people say, oh, AI solved the Zodiac code. Actually, no. We need to clarify the fundamental difference between the software that cracked the Z340 and the modern generative artificial intelligence everyone is talking about today. What Jarl Van Eyck's AZ Decrypt software used is called automated cryptanalysis. This uses statistical language scoring to test and rank millions of possible key arrangements at blazing machine speed. It's basically checking how English-like a random string of letters is. It's a computational pattern matching tool, not a thinking, autonomous AI. The humans provided the creative, geometric insight. The machine just did the heavy lifting.
So, you might be wondering, why can't our incredible, cutting-edge AI just crack the final 2 codes? Well, Demis Hassabis, the Nobel Prize-winning co-founder of DeepMind, summed it up perfectly. He said, AI excels at solving puzzles with defined rules, but struggles with mysteries that lack objective solutions. The Z340, that was a really hard puzzle, but the remaining codes, they are pure mysteries.
And the core reason they remain mysteries is due to what cryptographers call the inkblot effect. The remaining ciphers, the Z13 and Z32, are simply too short, mathematically speaking. When a cipher is that short, humans and AI alike will start pattern matching to pure noise. It's like looking at clouds. You can make it say almost anything, and any guess looks totally convincing. But without external proof, like a matching DNA sample, there's absolutely no way for an AI or a human to verify if its solution is actually the truth.
And finally, Section 5. Suspects and Unsolved Codes.
The sheer scale of this investigation is honestly staggering. Since these crimes began, over 2,500 people have been actively investigated as the possible author of these codes. Let's rapidly run through the top suspects that always come up. First, Arthur Lee Allen. He's literally the only suspect ever officially named by law enforcement, but his DNA and fingerprints were inconsistent with the evidence. Then there's Gary Francis Post, who was named by an independent cold case team in 2021, but that entirely lacks FBI verification. Earl Van Best Jr. was publicly named by his own son, but again, completely lacks forensic evidence. And Lawrence Kane was actually identified by a survivor, but his involvement remains totally unconfirmed. So despite all the elaborate theories and all the AI cross-referencing in the world, the incomplete DNA barrier has kept every single one of these men from being definitively charged.
And it all comes back to these final 2 unsolvable pieces of the puzzle. The Z13 literally reads, "My name is," followed by just 13 symbols. It is statistically impossible to ever verify what those 13 symbols mean. Then you have the Z32, 32 symbols accompanied by a map of Mount Diablo and an empty bomb threat with a deadline that expired over 50 years ago. Their extreme brevity is what turns them into the ultimate taunting mysteries. Honestly, they were probably never meant to be solved at all. They were just meant to keep us guessing forever.
Which leaves us here. Case status, open. Over 50 years later, the somber reality of this whole dark history is that no arrests have ever been made. The killer's true identity remains completely, entirely unknown.
He stopped writing his terrifying letters to the newspapers in 1974. He stopped killing, or, well, at least he stopped taking credit for it, around 1969. But those 2 final coded messages, they are still sitting right there in FBI files, staring back at us from the past, which leaves us with one final, chilling question to take away from this explainer today. Who is really waiting in those final 45 symbols?